What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Nick Moseder here, and I have some incredible news to share with you guys. It looks like Anna Paulina Luna, Scott Presler, Elon Musk, and all the people that have been fighting for the Republicans to pass a robust election integrity measure called the SAVE Act are victorious. So there's been a deal cut in an attempt to avoid an extended government shutdown between Trump and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to make this happen. The SAVE Act, its most updated version, includes a requirement for voter ID, proof of citizenship when you register to vote, mandates states to verify citizenship on their voter rolls, and penalize election officials who register individuals without the required proof of citizenship. So this is a very robust election integrity measure, and this actually includes voter ID for both in-person voting and mail-in voting. Now, this is so robust and incredible that I would almost predict, I can almost guarantee you, in fact, that there's going to be some liberal activist groups that are going to sue and try to block this legislation with an emergency injunction, in the key states. My point being that even if this passes, the fight is not over. This is going to end up in court for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what's going down right now and how this actually unfolded. One of the main people that's responsible for this happening is Anna Paulina Luna. So what was going to go down was the Republicans and Democrats were at a standoff over the DHS funding portion of the omnibus government funding package, right? So the Democrats were in refusal to fund the DHS over the shooting of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and they were going to shut down the government over it. They refused to pass the DHS portion of the bill. So what they wanted to do was they were trying to strong-arm and force the Republicans to separate each section of the spending package, and they wanted to pull out the DHS portion and make amendments to it, such as forcing ICE officers to wear body cams and requiring that they have to go to a judge to get a warrant before they can make an arrest and things like that. They said they would not pass the DHS portion of the funding package in its current form, and they were demanding amendments be made to it, which would require the bill to go back to the House before it could be passed, right? So what Anna Paulina Luna did was she said, if you do that, if you send the bill back to the House, I have a group of Republican members that are going to refuse to vote to send any appropriations bill back to the Senate unless it includes a rule for the SAVE Act. So she was basically going to make it so that the spending package would require a rule, would have a rule that would force the Senate to vote on the SAVE Act. And now, obviously, this caused the threat of an extended government shutdown, because if you're going to force a vote on the SAVE Act, this could actually cause a lot of problems and prolong the back and forth debate and put basically a wrench in the gears. So then what happened is Trump stepped in and he said, I am working hard with Speaker Johnson to get the current funding deal, which passed in the Senate last week, through the House and to my desk, where I will sign it into law immediately. We need to get the government open, and I hope all Republicans and Democrats will join me in supporting this bill. Send it to my desk without delay. There can be no changes at this time. We will work together in good faith to address the issues that have been raised, but we cannot have another long, pointless, and destructive shutdown that will hurt our country so badly, one that will not benefit Republicans or Democrats. I hope everyone will vote yes. So this was basically a message directed at Anna Paulina Luna and the House Freedom Caucus members that were siding with her, that we're going to try to pull this stunt to get the SAVE Act passed. So Trump basically said, we need to get this passed in its current form to prevent a shutdown. And now we're hearing that after President Trump stepped in, the SAVE Act, while it's not going to be attached as a rule in the funding package, Representative Anna Paulina Luna got a standing filibuster agreement, like a handshake deal, from Senate Leader John Thune.
If everything goes according to plan here on the Hill today, this partial government shutdown should be over by some point later today. Now, a large part of that reason is President Trump decided to get involved. He urged a handful of House Republicans to drop their demand to attach the GOP voter ID law known as the SAVE Act to this package of government spending bills. Speaker Johnson says now just isn't the time for that.
We all want the SAVE Act, but we also look at the reality of the numbers here, and we passed the SAVE Act twice in the House. We'll pass it again. We'll do that, but this is a funding package right now, and I don't think we need to be playing games with government funding.
So here's where things stand right now. If Republicans can pass a procedural vote today, they can bring this package of 5 government spending bills to the House floor where it would be expected to pass even with some Democratic votes. Now, that would then end the shutdown today once it got to President Trump's desk. But it wouldn't end the fight over DHS funding, which has to be figured out in the next 10 days. And Democrats are digging in their heels over ice.
So there's still obviously a big circle jerk over DHS funding going on, but that's not the topic of discussion here. I care a whole lot more about the SAVE Act. And so what's going down is Senate Majority Leader John Thune, rather than using the zombie filibuster, where basically what that means, Senate Democrats, the minority party, can block a bill from passing with a 51-vote majority by saying we are going to filibuster, which means we are going to debate forever and ever and ever. And if you want to end the debate and get the bill passed, you need 60 votes, which means you need a bunch of Democrats to come to the other side of the aisle and vote for the bill to get cloture, which means ending of the debates. But what John Thune is apparently agreeing to do is require a standing filibuster, which means that you can't just call a filibuster and then go home. You have to stay here on the Senate floor and debate until you're completely exhausted and you pass out. And then once you pass out and you can't debate anymore, then we can pass it with a 51-vote majority, and we don't need 60 votes because once you drop, that's it. That's cloture. Now, Unseen One points out the fact that this is actually going to be very entertaining. A standing filibuster would be must-watch TV, he says. We can take bets on when the next geezer faints from the stress of standing and talking for hours. My bet is Bernie is the first to go down. Then you will see the ones who go through drug and alcohol withdrawal. It would be like Survivor on steroids. It's unfortunate that Nancy Pelosi doesn't have to, do a standing filibuster, because we know she would be going into DTs and convulsing. But there's plenty of other alcoholics and drug addicts that are going to seize up on national television, so it's going to be pure entertainment. Now, I know what you're probably thinking with all of this is that how can we possibly trust John Thune, who's a frickin' rhino, to get this done? But the good news is Representative Luna, one of the loudest voices that's been fighting to get this done, seems to feel pretty confident that we are in good shape. Here she is with Tim Burchett talking about how she feels pretty comfortable about the whole thing.
And Representative Luna and myself are not willing to allow that.
So based on your discussion, it sounds like you're moving towards.
Yes, based on our discussion right now, we're moving towards it. Also, we got assurances on the standing filibuster, which is incredibly important. I don't know if you guys remember when I was talking about inherent contempt. A lot of people didn't know what that is. The standing filibuster is an old school parliamentary procedure, but it's a way to break through what we consider traditional norms to get voter ID passed. I think that it's brilliant that they came up with it, but exactly that's why we kind of have these discussions, and we're very happy about the outcome. So there should be a standing filibuster announced soon, and I would actually reach out to Senator Thune's office to ask him about that, because they have different rules in the Senate.
So that would get you to yes tomorrow on the rule.
Yeah, as of right now, we feel very comfortable where we're at based on what we are discussing.
Can I get your reaction to the Clintons agreeing to testify before the...
So yeah, I have my own skepticism with all this, but Anna Paulina Luna says based on where we're at, she feels very comfortable with this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if this does go down, this is going to be absolutely incredible, because we know the entire system depends on illegals voting, dead people voting, people that have moved away, fictitious registrants that don't even exist, casting ballots in U.S. elections. And this is going to be an absolute devastating hit to the rigors come the midterm election cycle, barring it getting shut down in a court of law before that happens. But ladies and gentlemen, This is exactly what happens when the people speak up and make their voices heard. You have nobody to credit but yourselves for speaking up about this and demanding that action be taken. But until it actually happens, I don't want to get too hyperbolic, sensationalized, or optimistic. We got to continue the fight until it actually gets done. But ladies and gentlemen, as of right now, I feel pretty good about this because you have to remember, people like Scott Presler and Elon Musk stepped in, and these are two very, very key figures that have a lot of influence over the Republican Party, and they both gave a massive ultimatum that if you don't support the SAVE Act, then you are going to be primaried in the next election cycle, and they were not going to back you, and Elon Musk was going to start dumping millions of dollars into their opponents, and Scott Presler was not going to help them get elected or reelected. So there was a lot of pressure, and these people, I mean, they're pretty much caving. And by the way, for those of you that are skeptical that we have the votes to pass the SAVE Act, let me just tell you, 49 Republicans have co-sponsored the bill, which means you only need one more. And apparently, John Thune is a supporter of the SAVE Act. He basically was opposing the bill because he said he wanted a more robust version of it that included not just requiring citizenship when you register to vote, but proving that you're a citizen and showing ID when you actually go to the polls. So he's a yes based on the current form of the bill. Susan Collins, she's not a co-sponsor, but she did say that she would vote for it. The only two Republican defectors are Mitch McConnell and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. These are the only two that said they wouldn't vote for it. And remember, we have J.D. Vance as the tiebreaker for that 51st vote. So we really only needed one out of the 4 Republicans to come to vote for the SAVE Act. We have 49 co-sponsors, and we needed one more, and either John Thune or Senator Collins, or hey, maybe even John Fetterman might actually vote and become that 50th vote, with J.D. Vance being the tiebreaker. So ladies and gentlemen, we have the votes. It's just a matter of getting this to the floor and circumventing the filibuster, and it sounds like we're getting that done. So this is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.